Hey everyone, welcome to the Empowered Live Q&A, the Istanbul Dance Festival edition. And hi Eugenia, nice to have you here. Whoever else is joining in, can you guys shoot me a message, say hi, and let me know where you're from. Also, I'm gonna apologize right now because I am deadly sick today. I almost wanted to cancel this live, but I figure it's gonna be pretty helpful to those people that are joining the live that are going to be attending this festival. So I wanted to do it anyway. So if at some point I somehow end up breaking up into a coughing fit, somebody needs to contact 911. I believe Jihan from the organization should also be logging in today. Jihan, whenever you get in here, can you please say hi? That way, if anyone has any questions directly related to the festival, they can direct them to you. I wonder why people are so shy sometimes when it comes to these live chats. To not say hi or to not say where you're from or to ask questions. There he is, Jihan Gazelle. So guys, whoever's logged in, whoever's watching this live, Jihan, who is in chat right now, can also answer your questions if you have anything regarding the actual festival. Before I start, ciao. Before I start, I want to say that this festival, and no, I'm not getting paid to say this, but this festival has been one of my favorite events forever. I've been going to Turkey, to Istanbul at least, since 2008, every year, at least once every year. And there's something about the city and the people and the culture and just the history in the city that is so beautiful and contagious that I can't help but have fun there. And yes, maybe past years there has been some disorganization with an event, but many events have that issue. And yet still, there's still this lively energy there. Whoever goes there, including the people that actually work there, that are not part of the organization, there's still this beautiful energy that they communicate. And that's one of the reasons why I've always loved this festival. The NNPW, no idea what that stands for, but hello. Okay, so a couple of the questions that were submitted today, or not today rather, but a couple of days ago. And also, please, if you guys are here, this is your chance to ask me your questions, so don't lose that opportunity. All right, so Joseph Taylor, 007. I'm curious if he's really 007. Asked me what my favorite dance is. My favorite dance, I would definitely say, is salsa. I have tried kizomba and bachata and even played around with West Coast swing and merengue and pretty much all these other dances, tango, everything. Not pursued them in a serious way where I tried to like actually learn them, but I spent at least a good night or a couple of nights with those dances just to see if I like them. And as much as all of those dances have like a musical element that I can relate to or have a beautiful partnered connection that I can relate to, salsa I find is probably the most dynamic of the dances. There's a great range in terms of the speed in which the songs are, the melody, the emotion that they communicate. So I feel like my range of expression ends up being a lot wider and a lot more diverse when it comes to salsa than it does with any other dance form. Not that I don't appreciate the other dance forms, but generally speaking, I prefer I prefer salsa. So to answer your question, Joseph, that is my favorite dance. I would love to come to Italy. I've been to Italy a while back, and I loved it, especially the food, especially from Parma. Yeah. Also, if you guys don't know that, I'm generally quite a foodie. Except right now, because I'm sick, I can't eat anything. It's killing me. All right. Next question. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name because it's not really a name; it's just a handle. But the question is, how do you improvise to salsa music so well? Well, obviously, I get pre-releases of every single song that's ever been released, and I get a chance to study it before it goes on the market. That's how I improvise. Joking. uh, the reason I'm able to improvise to it is because, and now this is a much more involved question, so forgive me that I cannot actually answer all of this in a 30-minute session. I usually do a 2-hour seminar on this, and there's still plenty more to learn from it. But generally speaking, one of the things I like to connect with is the musician. So yes, there is the music, and maybe we don't have access to the live music itself, but musicians, just like we are in our dancing, are trying to tell a story, in my opinion. And if you connect with the idea that they're trying to tell a story, you will start to find that there is a flow in how that story is told. So maybe they're starting out with so the other day I was going to do this, this, and this, and then I came across something. And then you would not believe what happened. And so that same kind of storytelling that happens in regular storytelling with words is what I feel happens in the music as well. Not all songs are like that, but then again, not all stories are that great either. So if you can connect to the fact that maybe a musician is trying to tell a story to you, you might be better able to hear where there are going to be dips and rises in that story, so you can kind of predict what's going to come next. I hope that helps. Of course, like I said, there's plenty more attached to it. There's a structure of the song. There are predictable structures in the song. There are general rhythms that repeat themselves that you can always play with. There's a lot more to it. But if you can connect with the musician as another human being that is just speaking to you, except with an instrument, I feel like you can get a lot further without putting as much effort into it. Oh, by the way, guys, there's a 20-second delay on when I transmit to when you guys are actually seeing it. So if I pause long enough or whatever, you guys are asking me questions, that's why. There's a 20-second delay. All right, next question. Bazzy M asked me, if you could give advice to yourself 20 years ago with what you know now, what would you say? I would definitely say travel as much as you can. If there is one thing that I've learned through dance, granted, of course, I got opportunities to travel because I was getting booked in all of these different cities and countries around the world. But what I've definitely learned is that when you see the world, it not only obviously exposes you to different cultures and beautiful cities and scenery and all of that stuff, but it opens up your mind and increases your tolerance and your patience as well. I don't think if I just stayed in an English-speaking country, I grew up in Canada and now I'm living in the US, but I don't think if I just stayed in one of these countries where predominantly everyone speaks English, that I would have the same method of teaching. Like one of the reasons I teach the way I teach, and one of the reasons I even speak in this fashion, slowly or concisely, is because I've had a chance to travel and I understand and appreciate that there are people who don't have English as a first language. And for me to communicate to them, it's not about me communicating the way I communicate, it's about me trying to communicate in a way that they can understand. But if you're not exposed to other cultures, if you're not exposed to different languages and different customs, then you would never have a reason and rightfully so, you would just never have a reason to try to expand your vocabulary or try to expand your gestures and understand and try to be understood. So if I could give one advice to my 20-year-old self would be to travel as much as possible. And to all of you who are logged in, same thing as well. I would highly recommend traveling as much as possible. Most of us in salsa in this community tend to frequent to a lot of other events, so I feel like we do get that travel in. But if you're not traveling that much, if you are kind of waiting for the dance events to come to you or the parties to come to you, then I would definitely recommend traveling as much as you can. And the beauty of salsa and traveling with salsa, and I presume it's the same with other dances as well, like kizomba and bachata, is that um, there is a connection that you have almost instantly with someone who says they share a similar passion to you. So if I travel somewhere and I meet someone who dances salsa, it's almost like me traveling to some place and they're like, hey, I'm from Canada. And instantly I'm like, holy shit, you're from Canada, me too. And then all of a sudden you just start talking in a way that you might not have been speaking before. And I feel like salsa and dance or any passion generally bonds us in the same way. So if you can, even if it's not for an event, you travel somewhere, try and connect with a local dance instructor or dance school or dance community and see what kind of experience you can get from that. But definitely travel. All right. I'm going to answer two more questions here, and then I'm going to get to your questions in the chat. All right. So one other question was, find me in clouds. She asked, what do you recommend to new artists who can't afford the cost of training and development? Now, I don't know how many of us are also pursuing dance in a different way, in a more professional way, perhaps. But one thing I can say is my dancing, when I started, if any of you know my history, my dancing is not actually from any training per se. It's not from taking lots of classes. It's not, I didn't grow from joining a team. I actually just went out dancing as much as possible. I was out like 6 to 7 days a week. I don't think my mom appreciated that, and I don't think my first year of university's grades appreciated that. But once I found that balance, I was still going out all the time. And I would say that, yes, there's a lot of training that we could invest in. And of course, if you have access to resources that you can use to take privates and take classes and travel to events and all of that stuff, then by all means, go for it and pursue your passion and improve your skills. However, if you can't, the classroom setting is not your only place to learn. And this is one thing that I learned is when I would go out dancing, every single dance that I've had was a dance that I was trying to learn from. So yes, of course, it was a night of fun, and I'm out there just going out and enjoying my time with my friends and dancing as much as I can. But I'm not taking it lightly. So every dance that I would have would be with the intention of improving myself, would be with the intention of fixing my mistakes. And so maybe I wasn't taking classes, but let's say I went out dancing for 5 hours, that's 5 hours of classes if you think about it. So maybe there's somebody who is taking a class 1 hour, 2 hours a week, but not going out dancing or not applying what they learned. And here I am going out dancing 5 to 7 nights a week, dancing maybe 4 to 5 hours each night, and I'm learning for that entire time. So you can imagine who's going to progress faster. So for all of you who are out there who would like to improve and would like to get better, whether it's for professional reasons or whether it's for your own reasons, I would recommend approaching every moment of your life as a moment to learn. And you can do that even with just walking down the street. Like, what is your posture? How are you stepping? Are you lazy in your steps? Are you sitting into your bones? Are you engaged in your core? All of those things are things you can practice off the dance floor. And then you can, excuse me, use them on the dance floor. And I'm dying. Okay. And I think there's one more question. I'll try and get to that in a minute. Again, I'm really sorry about the coughing, but it's like the tail end of getting super, super sick. Okay. So to answer your question, Robbie Fuma asked, what do you think about the new way to dance salsa? Salsa in shows, very fast with a lot of acrobatic combinations. I, um, I think the beauty of salsa is that there's so many things that you can do with dance that you don't that there's no limitations to how you can express it. So if your goal is to test your body, to test your limits, to see what you're capable of, and if that involves acrobatics and all that stuff, then by all means you can go and do that. If you have a desire to do something that's a little bit more subdued, that doesn't involve any tricks and that's all about musicality, then by all means go and do that. I think the issue arises when we start to create choreographies or tailor our personal artistic expression to match what everyone else is doing. That's the problem. It's not the problem that people are doing. I die here. It's because all of you guys showed up. It's for all of you. But yeah, if the problem isn't so much about what people are doing in terms of the tricks and the fancy things that they're doing or how fast they can go. The problem is when other people that are coming into the scene think that that's the only way to express themselves, who think that a show must involve lots of tricks and acrobatics and all that kind of stuff. I'm not against anything, but I think how you feel the music is how you should express it. And maybe you don't get a standing ovation because you didn't fly through the air, but that's also not what it should be about. It should be about how you feel the music and whether you feel you did justice to that song. I hope that helps. All right. Srinath, hi from India. I will definitely be seeing you soon next month. Nick, anyway, how do you manage crowded dance floors and still enjoy the moment? Very, very good question, because that does tend to happen a lot. With crowded dance floors, if it's really crowded, I will avoid the dance floor, to be honest. It's just not worth it. And I've gotten injured a few times on the dance floor when it was too crowded. So for me, the risk to reward of having a good dance is really not at par. Otherwise, when I'm dancing, what I do tend to do is I pay attention a lot more to the other dancers around me instead of just my partner. Unfortunately, what that sometimes results in is like a lack of connection with my partner because I'm concerned about everybody else. But sometimes if there's just enough space to be able to pay attention to my partner and then look to the side and make sure someone's not going to crash into me or vice versa, then that's how I would manage a crowded dance floor. But usually if it's too crowded, I don't even get on it. It's just not worth it. And yes, I agree, Eugenio. Dance is a great way to create bonds with people all around the world. Carlos, love you too. And yes, Eugenio talked about following the way of the old Palladium dancers and Cuban casino dancers who learned from and on the dance floor. And that's pretty much what I did. Not because I didn't have quality instruction, it's just I didn't have time for classes and all of that. I was in university at the time, so I was focusing on my studies as well. The only time I kind of had free was super late at night, which was when the clubs were open, and that was about it. Next question, which orchestra... This replay is going to suck. Which orchestra or band are you listening to most nowadays, and would you like to recommend to us? I don't really follow any band specifically. However, I've always loved New Swing Sextet. They are a New York-based group, and I see them live every time I can. They could be playing 3 nights a week, and I will be out every single night, even if they play the same songs. Avenida Bay is another New York-based band, Los Hacheros as well. Doug Beavers. These are all obviously New York-based bands, and I get the opportunity to see them because they're over here. But one of the, I guess one of the things that I personally like about the bands that I follow are the personalities. It's kind of the same way for me in terms of how I connect with people in general, artists or professionals in any field. What you do and your talent and your art and your work is important, of course. But I think it's more important what kind of person you are and how you treat other people and how you make them feel. And so for me, the connection I have with people and the support I show to people is often commensurate to how they are as people, you know, how I connect with them. So one of the reasons why I love New Swing Sextet as much as I do is when I saw them, I can't even remember. I think the first time I met them was in 2009, but I think the first message apparently that I had sent them was in 2007 on MySpace. So some of you dancers or people, you might be too young for MySpace. I'm dating myself by saying that, but I met them back then and they were so lovely, like just beautiful human beings. And after all of these years of success and traveling and like notoriety, they are still just as beautiful today. So if you've ever met them, you'd be able to say the same thing. Oh, that's loud. It's not a good idea. All right, JR. I followed you for a while and was curious, do you enjoy hustle dancing? I have actually danced hustle a long time ago. I want to say at the New York Congress, like way back when, because they actually had a lot of performers at that event that danced hustle. So again, my introduction to any dance is usually who's good enough to not compromise their basic or their timing to keep me on basic and in time. And I would go and ask that person to dance. So I think I've danced hustle before with some people. I don't remember the dance that much. I wouldn't mind. Of course, I have no problem with trying new dances. But for me, whenever it comes to trying a new dance, I generally like to I like to dance with someone who really knows their shit. Because considering that I don't know, I don't want to take them off of their time or the right technique for the dance either. Yes, I love music. Okay, so I'm going to answer this one other question because I think this is important, and especially for the people that are going to this event in Istanbul. um, the question is by Pac-Man 7177. How should dancers deal with rejection, especially from pro dancers? I've made a few videos about rejection. I even gave a TED Talk on the benefits of rejection. So I will include those links in the description later, or by the time you watch it, if you're watching the replay, they'll be in there. So I definitely recommend watching those. However, I would like to comment on one other thing, especially considering that this person brought up the specifically pro dancers rejecting. So the way we all approach dance is different. We all get into it for different reasons. Maybe we all got into it because we love the social dancing aspect, but depending on where we have gone with our careers, maybe the social dancing aspect is not as important to us. And maybe we found our calling in teaching, or maybe we found our calling in performing. And I always say that the best way to approach people is to respect their choices. So when it comes to asking someone who's a pro and feeling rejected by them, one way to kind of look at it is imagine what their time was like before that evening. So let's say they arrive, like usually for me, I arrive to the event. I mean, Istanbul, I'll be there early because that's my country. But I usually arrive at the event the day of. I get a chance to rest maybe a little bit and then go straight to the party. Then the next days are teaching workshops and privates. If I have a show, then there's tech rehearsal and then the performance itself. I mean, I personally, I love social dancing because I feel like that's where I get the greatest challenge and the greatest form of self-expression, which I can keep changing with different partners and with different songs. Um, However, there are other people who really put a lot of effort into their shows. So I mean, I know plenty of teams, and I'm certain you guys also know people like this, who teach during the week, who spend 4 hours, every evening training hardcore, and then fly on the weekends with very little rest to go to a congress, to teach, to perform, to be at the parties, and then leave early morning, sleep on a plane, which is not really sleep, in my opinion. Um, Getting home and then going right back into training or into teaching classes. So if someone says no to you, again, I always say don't take it personally. But in addition to that, just have a little bit of empathy to perhaps see where they might be coming from and why they might not want to dance socially. Maybe they like the social aspect of it, of just hanging out and talking to people, instead of actually social dancing. Maybe it's tiring on their bodies. And the best way to approach it is to just respect that choice, not to pressure them, not to stress them out, not to make them feel guilty, but be understanding. And if anything, based on the vibe that you get from somebody, you could also just end up having a nice conversation with them. I mean, I've actually made friends based on me saying no to a dance and then that person sticking around and talking to me. And before you know it, we had like a great conversation, great laughs, and then, you know, keep on chatting and keep communicating for months. So you never know what else you can get out of an interaction. If you make it a single interaction, as if that person is there for your fulfillment of whatever it is that you want, which is a dance, then two ways to approach it. One is, if you're not getting the dance from that person, then move on and get a dance from the person that you want to get it from, somebody else. Or treat them like a human being and see if there's possibly something else, some other exchange that could happen there. Um, the greatest thing I've always appreciated is being treated like a human being and not like a machine. Through my injuries over the years, that was possibly one of the one of the hardest things to come to realization with, was how many people how many people would like look at me as a machine? How many people just saw me at a party and expected that I was there to fulfill their desire to dance, but not that I was actually a person who might be tired, who might want to just talk, who might want to hang out with my friends and have a conversation, people who I haven't seen for a while. So whenever somebody actually treated me like a person, it made a world of a difference. And those are the people that, if they gave me a chance to breathe and to be, those are the people that I would actually look for later to ask them to dance. The people that would generally kind of be like, oh, well, you're not dancing, okay, and then they'd walk away with some attitude. Those people, they could ask me again, and I probably remember their attitude, and that would be enough for me to say no again. So, for those of you guys who are traveling to events, who are with that goal of asking artists to dance, I mean, by all means, you should, because why not, right? I mean, try and dance with as many different people as possible. And the higher the level, you get to test what you're capable of. So I definitely encourage that. But try to approach them with empathy, and try not to take it personally. Um, and finally, yes, well, I'm having a ginger tea, ginger and turmeric tea with honey. And yeah, it's not quite doing the job. Also, I apologize, guys, for all of these coughing bursts and my face. I just feel like I'm dying here. All right, so I'm going to answer one more question, then we are going to call it a day. Andy Diaz, greetings from Atlanta. Greetings back to Atlanta. Oh, your sister loved my workshop. Very glad to hear that. What is your preferred way of improving your footwork or acquiring new moves? Well, footwork, speaking of footwork, at the Istanbul Dance Festival, actually, I'll be giving a footwork fundamental class, which will cover some of those details and techniques on how to take footwork and improve upon it. But as far as it comes to new moves, a lot of my moves are on the fly. So I don't really practice at home to see what I can come up with, because most of the things I do are quite heavily dependent on my partner. And so if I'm not actually practicing with a partner, it's hard for me to know whether something is going to be executable. So most of my moves are on the dance floor, and generally I would try them with people I'm more comfortable with, just because I know that there's going to be no headbutting, where there's any attitude where they're like, what the hell is she doing, or anything like that. But if I end up having a night of dances with people I've never met before, it all depends on the connection. So if I feel a good vibe from somebody, a good attitude, and a good personality from that person, and if I feel a good connection with that person, then I would attempt something there. But generally, I don't practice, like, especially moves that I do within partner work. I don't really practice a lot of that stuff on my own, just because, relatively speaking, it doesn't make sense. So, I hope that helps. I hope you guys enjoyed this chat. Again, for Istanbul Dance Festival, if you guys are attending that festival, istanbuldancefestival.org, for all of the information there. Don't forget to subscribe and stay up to date. Check out the form. There's a form in the comments for leaving your feedback on this live as well, which I would, of course, very much appreciate. Please don't talk about my cough. And yes, I look forward to talking to you guys again. I will be posting videos regularly, powered videos, and I'll be hosting at least once a month live Q&A. So if you didn't get a chance to ask your question today, by all means, take a note of it. And the next time that I'm on, you can ask me then, okay? Have a fantastic evening, day, depending on where you're logged in from, and a fantastic weekend. And I hope none of you guys are as sick as I am. And if you are, I hope you get better too. Ciao. Oh, by the way, March 29th to April 1st. Sorry, I didn't even put the date. March 29th to April 1st, Istanbul Dance Festival. What is it, the 10th year? I don't even know now. It's been many years. Ciao, guys.